Hello and welcome to the Dinosaw for week 50, another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So as ever, let's crack on. The first one is the imaginatively named Reflection Removal tool from Adobe. This is a brand new thing, only for Adobe, obviously, and it will remove reflection. So it's been trained on 2 separate images using AI, and it's then been essentially tasked with removing one image from another, which is what reflection removal is. So you put in your image and it will then show you what the reflection was and what the image is without the reflection, which is kind of cool. So if you've got any images that you've taken with your camera, you've probably got some fingers and a phone in the image itself, it'll remove those for you, which is cool. This is a card from Jeff Keacher, and it is a free energy greetings card. So it harvests what he calls the Christmas spirit, but obviously it's electromagnetic radiation from things like Wi-Fi routers. Microwaves is what you're seeing at the bottom of this video. So what it does is it harvests that energy, charges up a capacitor, and as soon as it's got enough energy, it lights up the little flashy lights. It can also do that just from ambient light as well. That's not using a solar cell, just the electromagnetic radiation from light. And it's got this really cool mode, which I won't go into too much, but it can actually be remote controlled by a mobile phone without actually connecting to the mobile phone, just listening to the pulsing of the phone connecting to a website, which is really interesting how you can control devices for free on a mobile phone that is not connected to it. It's really, really interesting. Go and have a look at the website if you're so inclined. This is Google. They have announced a quantum chip, their new quantum chip called Willow, and it's super powerful. Just how powerful? Well, it can do a calculation in under 5 minutes that would normally take a good computer 10 septillion years. That's 10 with 25 zeros. The universe has not been around that long in years, by the way. That's how long a normal computer would take. So this is a pretty powerful chip. Lots of governments around the world are slightly worried about quantum computing because it can pretty much use that power to decrypt all the encrypted data that's, i.e. your bank accounts, government secrets, that sort of thing. However, it does this in a really interesting way, or a new kind of advanced way, in that qubits, or the quantum bits that do this, don't last forever. So it's managed to elongate how long they can last. And also it's done error correction, because when you do stuff with qubits, it almost multiplies the complexity of what you're trying to do. And every time you put an error in there, it multiplies the error, and you get a certain threshold, and therefore it just falls apart. So they've managed to do error correcting to keep it under that threshold, which is a great advance. So very good. This is the Titan Speed 3D. I didn't know about this. This has been around for quite a while, but they've just unveiled the latest, biggest version of this. So what on earth is this? So this is additive manufacturing. It is spraying metal powder in different, it can do stainless steel, it can do copper, it can do aluminium. So you spray metal powder at a really, really high speed, high pressure, and it bonds to itself. So it basically recongeals as metal, which is what you're seeing here. So there's no heat needed to do this. It is literally just smashing metal into each other to recreate metal. And then what you can do is you can then polish it up. You can then machine it to make it into the final thing. The new Titan thing, the new Titan machine, as you're seeing here, is massive. And instead of moving the part around and the nozzle stays still, in this machine, the nozzle moves around the machine, and it can then print several tons of kit, of metal component. This is really interesting, things like shipping, where if you're in the middle of the ocean and the propeller breaks or a bearing casing breaks, you need to make it. So didn't really think of that, and that's the Titan Speed 3D, which is cool. This is the new text-to-video model from Chinese megacorp Tencent. You've probably heard of them before. However, this is, it's like Sora, it's like OpenAI's new model, for instance. There's a bunch of these out there, Midjourney, for instance. And this is theirs. It's probably more known for the fact that it's been open sourced. It's only been out for a week, and therefore they've not been particularly secretive about it. If you want to go and use it as an API, you can, and that is awesome. Now, what I would say about these is it's not as good as some of the other ones, but in some tasks it's better. They're all a much of a muchness. A lot of the things that you've seen are just the demos they want you to see. When you actually use it, it's not quite as good. And it's sort of in that ballpark as well. You know, cats' legs start to disappear and all that sort of stuff. So there you go. A new one is out there. Fertiliser from thin air. This is an amazing thing. So this is actually from Stanford University, plus a few other people, by the way. And they've managed to generate fertiliser from thin air. So 2% of the global energy goes to producing fertiliser, ammonium fertiliser. So if you can produce it out of thin air for free, that's a kind of cool thing. So what they've done is they've got a mesh with basically a catalyst on it. You use the actual wind for free. You use water vapor, which then the water vapor then sits on the mesh, which you can then extract the hydrogen, and then in the air you've got a load of nitrogen anyway. So that's basically what it does, is it strips the hydrogen and the nitrogen and then makes fertilizer. So that is a pretty cool thing. If you can have a farmer somewhere generating fertilizer in situ for free, that is a game changer for the world, and also for the energy as well, and also for pollution, because there's a huge amount produced already. And finally, we have in cockroach news. So this is on a paper from last year, and I didn't show you that because it was a bit creepy and a bit weird. However, what scientists have figured out to do is you can non-invasively, you can basically glue this little chip onto the back of a cockroach, and you can push these little electrodes up to its antennae. And if you basically put some little signals down the left electrode, apparently the cockroach will move left and right. So you can then start controlling a cockroach as though it's a sort of a cyborg robotic kind of swarm bot, I guess. So the problem is, obviously, is, let's put morals aside, the problem is it takes 30 minutes for a scientist to put one of these little backpacks on a cockroach. So thankfully they've managed to then come up with a machine that automatically does it for you. So it manipulates it. Apparently they put the cockroach and make it to sleep temporarily with carbon dioxide, and then it wakes up again, none the wiser. It takes 68 seconds to glue one of these. So they can now make huge swarms of cyborg cockroaches really quickly, which is great news. There you go. Hopefully that was interesting. Hopefully it was useful. If it was, give it a like, share it with somebody awesome, and I will see you next week.